Hey, welcome back to Salty Squids. We're going to do some hook dressing today. So the lure we're going to focus on still is the peacock bass, and I thought it would be kind of accentuated in the back with a nice red hook, and then we'll put some bling on it so it looks good. I kind of got into fly tying many years ago. I had a good friend in the Navy. We were stationed together, and he gave me a fly rod in his front yard, and we I didn't know what the heck to do with it, and so he didn't even put a fly on it. I just learned to cast that fly line in his front yard, and then he took me out fishing, and we got some speckled trout and enjoyed it, and ever since then I really enjoy the approach with a fly rod. It's totally different action, and it's pretty cool when you can tie your own flies and land something. Lived out in Wyoming for about 3 years, and that was a whole different experience fishing all those mountain waterways and creeks and spring runoff and all that. It was pretty neat. But anyway, fly tying's relaxing. It's fun. I don't tie as much. I want to get back into it again, but I do dress a lot of hooks on specialty lures that I'm making. That adds a little extra character, and when a customer buys one, it kind of makes them feel like they got something that's extra unique on top of the wood lure. So we're going to start. I'm going to show you kind of some techniques here and what I do. By no means am I an expert. So lots of great fly tying videos out there, and really awesome people doing realistic bug patterns and stuff. It's quite the artwork. So we're going to use this. It's called a bobbin, and it's got a flared tip, and it's got some ceramic on the end so it doesn't cut the thread. And then the thread's a specialty thread. It's not your standard issue repair your shirt button thread. It's a flat thread, and you can get it really thick, and you can get it coated in wax, which makes it extra durable. The vise here is a rotary vise, so it actually spins. You can manipulate it, and has a little hanger for your thread if you want to get it out of the way, but makes it nice. I've had it for like 12 years, maybe even longer, probably 16 years. Still hangs up, and it really does a nice job when it comes to heavier hooks. A lot of vices that are freshwater trout stream flies, they're made for that light finesse stuff. So this is a good vise made by a company called Danica. If I ever buy another vise, I think I'm going to look at the Renzettis. They have a Traveler one and if Renzetti you're watching, I'd love to be a video promo guy for you. The Saltwater Traveler Pro, it holds really heavy hooks. It looks like a good one, but saving up a few pennies for that one. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get this started. Got to put the old Amazon glasses on. I get them like 10 in a pack because I break them and I scratch them, and yeah, they're attractive, I know, but lets me see. So you're gonna wrap this, and you're gonna lock your thread in. So your bitter end of your thread, you're gonna lock in, and you're gonna get a base built up like that. And then we're gonna use to kind of complement the colors of the lure. This is a flash, and you can see the iridescence in it. It comes in strands, and it's kind of unruly. So a lot of people will hang it and then just clip off what they need. And then the other thing we're going to use is called peacock herl. And this is a big bag that's equally as old, but it's still in really good shape, doesn't really dry out. And it's from a peacock. So it's got really pretty iridescence in it. And we're going to use a little bit of that. And when you're tying flies, you can fall into the trap of putting tons of material on there, and then they just look like big lumps of mess. So less is better a lot of times. So we'll go ahead and start off with a little bit of flash. And when you're using the flash, you just want to take little bitty chunks off and then work it around the hook. And there's some techniques to that. Good pair of scissors is always nice. The beauty of living in a predominantly female house is haircutting scissors work really good. Don't tell anybody I swiped them, but they clip really nice. Kind of like the hard as nails I showed you in the last video. Um, it's a really good product, and you find you implement a lot of things around the house that that could be used in lure making or any kind of woodworking, really, to be honest with you. It's nice to accent things for sure. So sorry, I'm kind of new at this whole camera thing, so I might be out of vision, but I'll try to show you what I can. So I'm going to rotate the vise a little bit, and I'm going to put another little bundle on here and lock it in. So you just lock using that thread to lock in that pattern there. And because it's a 3-hook treble, I'm just going to put 3 bundles of this flash, one for each intermediate section of where that hook hits. And you know what? If it's not super pretty in the beginning, oh well. You can alternate. You can put this peacock herl, and you can kind of put it under the flash and over the flash. I'm gonna drop two pieces, and the tail end doesn't really matter, so it can be long as can be, because we're gonna use those fancy scissors and trim them off. But what I do want to do is I want to again put kind of a balance in between here. So I'm going to take 2. I'm going to put 2 in between each hook area there. Something that's really cool in most local communities too. I met a guy selling lures at a local market, and we talked for like an hour and a half, and he was part of a really, really cool fly tying club of folks that gets together once a month. And then another time I met a guy that was he was a rep. He was a rep for a fly company, and his kid bought lures from me, but he's diehard fly fisherman, so he didn't want to do any hard bait lures. All right, so now you can see on the front side we got half of that herl coming out, and then the back side we have the longer pieces. So what I think we'll do, and they make fancy stuff where you can, or you can just use a straw. You can grab a McDonald's straw, and you can use something like that to kind of lump all this in and push it down the eye, and that kind of locks everything back. But we'll just kind of hold it in place with our hands. So you see I got everything with this hand locked in. Now I'm going to wrap her around like this, and that's going to push everything back. And for you fly tying extraordinaires, I'm sure you'll be laughing at some of my head work here, but it is what it is. Fish don't care. All right. Yeah, so that gentleman that works for that fly company. All right, so that's one thing you don't want to do, but it's good. I think YouTube has too many perfected scripted videos. So when you screw up and you're burning the head like that, so we're gonna do what's called a modified whip finish here, and do a couple half hitches. You saw that the flame caught my end of my bobbin there and my thread, so that's all right. You can spin this around your finger, but because I don't have a lot of working room here, we'll call that a whip finish. All right, so the other option you can have is you can pick these up at flea markets, but any old dental tools or any I went to an estate sale once, and it was an OBGYN doctor, and there was like boxes and boxes of German stainless steel, clamps and needle drivers and all kinds of stuff. And so you can find these things. They're awesome metal, and their shapes are obviously unique, but they work really good in the garage and doing projects, especially if you're carving wood or doing any kind of crafts, really. So you can heat it up, and then you can just kind of melt those little tag ends away there. And then I think what I'll do, because I did want the head to be a little longer, is we'll wrap a little more on here. And so again, you take your end, your bitter end, and you want to lock it in. You want to capture it. And that's what keeps things all tied nice and neat. All right, we'll skip the lighter until later. This thread's a little bit of a different color, but it's still a red. It'll complement still. The other thing you got to watch, and these are short shank hooks, and they're really good because they don't, when you're building lures, if your hooks are getting close to each other and they hook into each other, that really ticks you off when you're trying to cast and you foul hook the hook on the front hook on the back hook. All right, so another whip finish here is, and that I have a tool too. I haven't used it for years, so you just spin it around 2 or 3 times, and then pull it down, lock it tight, snapped it right off, and then we're going to use some UV clear. There's several different brands. Some are better than others. This one's generic off of Amazon, but all right. So got the UV on there, and I'm spinning it because when you spin something, like when they make fishing rods, or when you do a rotisserie chicken, it's the same concept. As long as you keep spinning, that UV cement levels out. So you do UV light, black light, and that's at a specific wavelength. I think there's a lot of debate on the whether 365, 385, 395 nanometer is the way to go. I, this one's 365, and I watched a couple of YouTubes on people using these for different reasons, and looks like 365 really does do a nice job. I have a bigger light that I think it's 395, and it works, but sometimes the UV's tacky. So this usually takes just seconds. You definitely don't want to look at the UV light. If you're shooting it away from you, that's fine, but it could definitely affect your vision. So be careful if you're using these curing systems. All right. Then again, if you want to clean it up, not burn all your hard work, I like to put the hot dental tool right in the eye there, and if there's any thread, rough edges of thread sticking out, it's doesn't hurt to just knock it down. All right, so you got this dressed hook, and that thing is excessively long in the back. So, and again, you can back off. I kind of wanted to just get through this quick and not lose your attention, but um, I don't know. Some people like them longer like that, but we're gonna do some clipping here, and I think perfection is like one of those things. Like if you want perfection, then go buy a factory lure that gets made in a plant by a machine. I think handmade stuff. I think there's a new resurge and attraction to kind of retro stuff and also handmade and crafted things. I mean, it's some of the markets I go to and do. It's pretty awesome. Some of the stuff people are out there doing and making, and people like to buy that. There's a story behind it. Everyone's got a story, and there's there's a lot of meaning. So you can get this as fancy or as dialed in different ways. You can pick up some of the clusters like this and kind of spread them out and fan them out. And if they're looking a little wild, I just kind of like the look of that. That peacock curl glistens in the water, and obviously when it's in the water, it's gonna nail down like this, but gives a fin look to it. And when you're jerking your bait along or you pause it, those are going to lay open a little bit and give a good representation of a fin. So nothing fancy really. I think it's just it didn't take us too long to do that, but the beauty of it is it certainly adds a little extra bling to your lure, and then just lock it on with a set of split nose. And there's Jen Cravasi. She paints those bull shad for that guy Mike Buca, who's pretty awesome bait maker. He's got some great videos too. But she was an airbrush painter that did some awesome patterns. I used to love watching her videos. I probably should watch some recent ones, but yeah, she does a nice job. And well, she was talking about split ring pliers, and Bass Pro sells these little mini ones. They're tiny, and she said they're my favorite. I don't like any other ones, and I bought a set, and I got to get a second set just to keep on the kayak when I'm out fishing because they're phenomenal. They some of the split ring pliers have too big a nose or a bite on them, and they're hard to deal with. Um, so we're going to go ahead and sorry, I'm probably out of your view, but I don't want to jab myself. Too many hook sticks. Worked in healthcare for many years, and knock on wood, haven't got stuck by a needle. But I can tell you, working in the wood shop and putting hooks on hundreds of baits, definitely, definitely have had some serious jabs. So anyway, that's what it looks like. Gives it a little bit of color and complement, and when it hits the water, it's gonna add some good pizzazz. The other thing I like to do is I buy Owner hooks, the brand Owner hook. They're good. They're most of those higher end hooks are pretty awesome. But these are excessively sharp, and they're an inline hook, so it's just inline, meaning the eye of the hook is in line with the point. So depending on what kind of bait you're making, um, and for those of you that are just starting out or getting into fishing, you always want the hook in the front to be facing forward, and then in the back you want the hook to be riding up. And the way the fish bites, it's going to nail that hook in that upward position there. And then as he goes forward, when it's this direction, it's trailing back as it's reeling. So therefore, if it was this way, you'd lose your ability to get the strike. Makes common sense, right? Um, Use big stainless steel eyes on here. Just everything you can put in that's stainless. I tap these with stainless steel wire, and just adds to the life of the bait. And I've never had an eye or a hook holder blow out. So all right, well, hope you enjoyed that. We'll have a good day, and see you next time you're in the shop. Take care. Bye.